Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're jumping right back into the absolute madness of Taboot, Part 2, Uncovering the Mysteries of the Nishi-Molos. This explainer is packed with incredibly complex lore, terrifying entities, and some seriously jaw-dropping twists where ancient history literally crashes into present-day horror. We're going to break down all these chilling events, organize the chaos from the source material, and figure out the real anatomy of this mystery. I mean, just picture this, an entire village totally paralyzed by dread. The source material paints this incredibly vivid picture for us. Basically, a 400-year-old curse, something everyone thought was dead and buried, has violently reawakened in the middle of the night. The panic is just palpable. Streets are completely dead, doors are bolted shut, and this deep ancestral fear has a chokehold on every single person there. So you gotta ask, what on earth makes a whole community hide under their beds like that? Okay, let's dive right into Section 1, the Nishi-Molos and a village in terror. So who exactly are the Nishi-Molos? Well, that's the ultimate question, right? The whole reason the village is losing its mind is because of a sudden, totally unexplainable disappearance. Two local guys, Sampat and Kapta, were just hanging out, playing cards outside. Next thing you know, gone, vanished without a single trace. They were taken. And the village elders, they instantly knew what, or actually who, was behind it. According to the village mukhya, the chief, we're not dealing with your run-of-the-mill ghosts here. The Nishi-Molos are described as these four towering, imposing figures draped in heavy brown cloaks. And to make it worse, they have these glowing, menacing red eyes piercing through the dark. Oh, and they carry a literal coffin with them. But here is the absolute most crucial, deadly rule to remember. If you see them roaming around at night, or, heaven forbid, they lock those glowing red eyes on you, that's it. Game over. You're taken. Exactly like Sampat and Kapta. And honestly, this brings up such a wild clash of perspectives. On one hand, you've got our visiting city girls, Ishita and Meghna. Get this. Earlier that night, they actually snuck out with the Mukhya's son, Anuj, to poke around an abandoned palace. They literally ran into a terrifying cloaked figure holding this creepy doll and barely made it out in one piece. But even after all that, Ishita is still clinging to her modern skepticism, whispering that the villagers are just fools for believing in demons. But then, on the flip side, the village mukhya is radiating pure ancient terror, screaming at everyone to stay locked indoors. It's city skepticism crashing headfirst into village terror. Moving on to Part 2, the Mrityunjay Amrit, a legendary cure. So, Anuj sits the girls down and explains the local legend, taking us all the way back in time to the year 1600 AD. Basically, a deadly pandemic was absolutely ravaging the kingdom, wiping out young, old, everyone. The king is totally desperate. Then, exactly 4 years into this nightmare plague, the princess mysteriously vanishes. Gone. Huge search parties look everywhere, but they find zero trace of her. Then, exactly 1 year and 1 month later, she just shows up again, out of nowhere. But she wasn't empty-handed. She brought back this single magical seed. And from that tiny seed, a massive mystical banyan tree grew. Now, the really important part here is what that tree actually does. It produces the Mrityunjay Amrit, the nectar of immortality. It's supposed to cure literally any disease, which is the whole reason Ishita and Meghna dragged themselves to this village in the first place. But, of course, it's never that easy. As Anuj warns them, you can't just tap the tree like maple syrup. It only drips on very specific nights, Purnima, which is the full moon, and Ekadashi. Those strict rules mean the girls are stuck waiting, basically trapped in this village, while those terrifying Nishi-Molos are out there hunting. All right, let's look at Section 3, End of the Tantric, a deadly ritual. To fight off this nightmare, a junior tantric decides to set up a massive purification ritual right in the middle of the village square. Talk about brave, right? He ignites an Agni Kund, a sacred fire pit. Then he carefully places a kapal, a human skull, right next to a narhadi, a human bone. He lights 4 incense sticks to purify the air, while all the villagers are locked inside, praying for their lives. But then, the wind starts howling, and you hear it. Thud, thud, thud. The heavy, syncopated footsteps of the 4 Nishi-Molos echoing through the streets. The local priest actually gets caught outside, freezes in panic as those glowing red eyes lock onto him. A coffin swings open, and he just vanishes into thin air. But the tantric, he holds his ground and keeps chanting. The 4 Nishi-Molos march up and stop dead right in front of him. For a second, there's just total silence. The villagers hiding inside are probably thinking, hey, maybe it worked. And then a completely blood-curdling, agonized scream rips through the night. When the villagers finally creep out to look, what they find is pure nightmare fuel. The tantric wasn't just killed. He was transformed into this cracked, frozen clay statue with his face forever locked in a scream of terror. And as they're watching, the clay just crumbles, disintegrates, and blows away in the wind. Literally no trace left. It's terrifying proof that this threat, yeah, it's pretty much unstoppable. The ripple effect of that moment is instant. Miles away, hidden deep in a secluded cave, the senior tantric's eyes snap wide open. He can literally feel the dark shift in the atmosphere. He realizes immediately that the Nishi-Molos have evolved into a deadly new form and completely destroyed his disciple. And his warning? It's chilling. He says he has to go there himself, right now, or a massive catastrophe is going to wipe that village off a map. So yeah, the stakes just skyrocketed. Which brings us to part 4, Megna's Truth, an unsolved mystery. Okay, let's talk about Megna, because the clues surrounding her are getting incredibly eerie. Actually, well before she even got to the village, she was having these intense dreams, feeling drawn to that legendary banyan tree. And when Anuj showed them the fields earlier, she immediately recognized the tree from her sleep. Then, there's the whole abandoned palace incident. That cloaked figure holding the doll seemed totally fixated on them. But the craziest part happens that night. She has this ultra-vivid nightmare where she's wandering through a dead forest, dressed head to toe as a literal 17th century princess. Suddenly, a cold hand grabs her shoulder, and she wakes up screaming. So, where does this leave us? It brings up one massive burning question. Who really are the Nishi-Molos? And what is Megna's true connection to a princess who vanished 400 years ago? Are these guys just mindless monsters? Or are they ancient guardians protecting the secrets of the Mrityunjay Emirate? The pieces of the puzzle are definitely all out on the table, but the picture is still incredibly murky. I mean, what do you think her connection is? I don't know about you, but I absolutely cannot wait to untangle the rest of this wild mystery in our next explainer. Thanks so much for joining me to break this all down.